In my formative years, I had this overwhelming desire to be able to make a difference in people's lives. Hence, the idea of being a lawyer in this country, being able to actually change lives and destinies of people, especially poor people. That was my core value, if you want to call it. I believe my biggest challenge came during COVID. Businesses were suffering all across the board because they shut everybody down. And it seemed as if the government did not have a clue as to what was going on. There were a lot of people who were hungry, there were a lot of people out of jobs that were affecting a lot of people. That time, sort of quarantined at home, felt I have to do something. And I called up a lot of my friends in the trade associations and I said, let's form a lobby group and let's lobby the government and get businesses' voices out in the media so that it's not just a one-way narrative coming down from government, but rather also the point of view of businesses and regular people on the street. And so I started with a group. I think we only had at that time 18 trade associations that joined together. We managed to speak to Azmin Ali at that time, I think, who was the Minister of MITI. We had a chat on the fact that we really need to get some of these businesses out, and we came up with a formula saying maybe if we had SOPs. First industry that we got off and up and running with these SOPs was actually the hairdressing industry. And the last industry 2 years later that we managed to get off from the restricted, the bar, the clubs, and the alcohol industry. You know, almost 2 years of lobbying, but by the time I got going and we got a lot of coverage from the press, we had grown to 120 trade associations and 3.3 million businesses in Malaysia. Well, I think what's very important, firstly, is your professionalism. You have to have a level of professionalism that one would expect from a firm. I'd have to behave, or my mindset has to behave as if I was like, my mindset has to be like Harvey Specter. Even though I'm a small fry, I pay a lot of attention to how I dress, how I present myself. From there, you've just got, so professionalism is something. Of course, you have to have the ability. She was a tea lady. She'd been there for like 50 years or so in that establishment. And I said, did they give you any compensation? She said, no. I just walked into the office one day and they said, thank you very much. You're done, you're too old, you can't work here, because this establishment had just moved into a brand new spanking office and no reasons were given. The problem was that she worked for one of the largest law firms in the country. So you imagine there's small little me, and I have to take on one of the largest law firms in the country who got rid of the tea lady. I have this compelling, and I was going like, oh gosh, of course it's going to be pro bono. And I go, oh my God, am I prepared for this, right? So we managed to get a good settlement, okay, for the lady, right? And she was quite happy with it. Yeah, that would be one of those very interesting things, you know. I think you have to use technology as a tool rather than allow technology to dominate every part of it. Every part of the process of what you're going to do, every part of your life shouldn't be dominated by technology. Today, kids wake up in the morning, they're on their computers, they interact with people on computers through all these apps. Young people do that, they play games, everything is on an app. Especially AI, in a lot of industries, including mine, make it a lot easier for people, right? It should be a tool and you shouldn't just let it dominate. It's because having a balanced life is very important. You know, I would say don't go into law unless you have a passion for it. It can be very frustrating, and there's loads of hours of hard work, research, preparation. You need to have a lot of passion to be able to last the distance. But it is a very good career pathway. If you have a passion for it, I hope, 30 years later you sit down, you have a smile on your face,